Hello, Connecticut. Please give me 2 minutes. I have lovely Heather on the phone who is discussing what happened in the courtroom recently and what's happening tomorrow in the Stamford Superior Court with a protection order against one of the Ahujas, which is the pill mill doctor family of Darien in Stamford, Connecticut. They are extremely wealthy. Court transcripts in the past show that there's plenty of money to go around, and they were happy to discuss it in front of Judge Tobin. And Heather, what can you tell me about tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow, Chris Kelly is going before the court in regards to a restraining order against Nicholas Ahuja.
Right.
Nicholas Ahuja is Dr. Ajay Ahuja's son, who happens to be a licensed attorney in New York and in Connecticut. I mean, these are essentially bought and paid for licenses all the way from when these kids were young, going to the two sons of Dr. Ahuja,
right,
went to Kinglow School in Stamford.
You're right.
And, they weren't going to be able to graduate with their class, and Daddy's money took care of that.
Right.
Not only did the kids break into the school the night before graduation and do $150,000 worth of damage to the school,
ooh,
they still were allowed to graduate the next day.
So what's going on is the same type of graffiti posted at the school has been found at Chris's house, and a brick thrown through the window saying what?
Saying that they were basically admitting in the letter that...
it's a confession.
A confession that they put a gun to my stepson's head and pulled the trigger.
Right, and he got shot. They tried to murder him, and he spit the bullet out.
Yeah, he was in critical condition under armed guard. I sat with him for I don't know how many weeks at Yale New Haven in the intensive care unit with police officers guarding the room. Right,
so how many people have come forward complaining that they were sexually assaulted by Dr. Ahuja?
I don't know exactly, because we've got people that are too fearful to actually go through the process of going to the police department and going through...
I think the number's around 9, but the people are reluctant.
Yeah, there's like 5 women that have been, one died on the surgery table on a simple operation. I think that...
Now, what's the connection, you think, to the judges?
The power these people have.
So in the transcripts, the judges understood that there was money to go around, correct?
Yeah, when I was sitting on the stand, well, actually it was a psychologist that did a 10 or 15-minute review of me, of my mental state in regards to be prepared to go to trial. That's like a paid-for doctor by Dr. Ahuja's side.
Right.
So, that was their defense.
So they paid $6 grand. They paid $6 grand for a 15-minute interview, and they got what they wanted.
Some ridiculous amount. Right off the bat, that should have been disqualified, but it wasn't. They humored. The judge allowed it, and he proceeded on the stand to say that they had plenty of more money to pay him. In other words, they said,
keep in mind,
don't worry about the cost. We'll pay you whatever it takes to get the diagnosis.
Right. So keep in mind, the prosecutors didn't want to prosecute Purdue Pharma because it was too profitable. They even said so.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Like, when you look at what happened with the Democratic National Committee and all the money they accepted from OxyContin, I mean, Congressman Jim Himes took an OxyContin bribe. U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal took an OxyContin bribe. Why would you pay?
Here's what I want the public to understand. If you're victimized, they put that on, they make sure that it's open to the public. Everything about the hearings are open to the public. Your personal information is out there. Your sexual information, your psychiatric information, your family, all the way back to your childhood. All of that's public because the judge feels that everyone has a right to know.
Right.
Now, so I went through that, and I've been told what a strong woman I am for tolerating all this. It wasn't easy.
No.
And that's why victims...
Well, hold on. Let's get into this. So, if Stanford bribed you, offered you a $3 million bribe, and you didn't accept it, what happened because you didn't accept the bribe?
Well, I mean, Johnny, you were there. You got the police report after a year of being denied. They've stolen my cars. They're stealing my house. They've allowed Ahuja to steal my $1 million property out in California.
I don't understand the connection.
$3.5 million, and he bragged on the stand that he gave the profits to his lawyer's son. My property in California.
Did he ever? Hold on. Did he ever indicate that he bought a judge?
Yes.
Okay.
Over and over.
Do we know over and over and over? Over and over. So, do you know which judge it is?
Yeah, Judge White.
Oh boy, because Judge White is accused by about 30 people of railroading different people.
Well, you have to understand that Judge White, I don't know if it was a son or a daughter, but I'm told that he had a son or a daughter that died of an overdose. So let's add it all up. Ahuja is an OxyContin dealer. Judge White's, one of his children died from an overdose. So just keep that premise going. You've got these people who were caught bribing. You know, we went over this on other occasions. You've interviewed me where you told the story about Dr. Ahuja's brother, Michael Ahuja, spending 16 months in a federal prison, which, again, if it were you and I that did what he did, we would have never seen the light of day.
Never, yeah.
But here, these people are out there trying to get prisoners that are
well, here we go.
Drug dealers.
Just getting caught with 18 million in the trunk of your car while you're bribing New York police officers is problematic, don't you think?
Yeah. And then did they ever follow how the hell they're buying up all these properties on High Ridge Road and buying properties on Round Hill in Greenwich and buying gas stations and buildings in Manhattan and condos in every direction?
Well, is it...
They're not doing that on $80 a day with patients coming into a filthy doctor's office.
Did you see how Arizona claimed that the drug cartels were using the governor to purchase properties illegally? I think there's 11 properties they accuse the governor of purchasing with drug cartel money. So, are we talking about this same thing happening in Connecticut?
Yeah, right here in good old Stamford, Connecticut.
How many properties do they own in Stamford?
Oh, a lot. They own a complete block on High Ridge Road.
Okay.
That's houses on either side of the doctor's 2 office buildings at 825 High Ridge Road. Mm-hmm. They own that entire block. The houses
right. They own the gas station in Hope Street?
Oh, they had, yeah. They closed things down after I continued to pursue complaints with the DOJ and the FBI.
Okay.
And so they knew they were under investigation for the drugs, so they started closing things up and then reinvesting in other ways.
Yeah.
What Dr. Ahuja did was what Janet Hall, the head federal judge, questioned was, are you judgment-proofing yourself because of this woman, Heather Lindsay, in Stanford, that has a case against you?
Yeah, and Hall just...
And of course, that's what he did. He put every one of his properties in his son's name. Now, prior to that, they knocked off the wife, so she died of a drug overdose on the same couch where I was raped. She was found dead after coming back from her own doctor. She was found dead on the living room couch. Now, her nephew has run all over Stanford, complaining that they're trying to murder him. Mm-hmm. He fears for his life.
Has anyone spoken to this kid?
No. Ever since he filed the restraining order, no one's seen him.
He's missing.
I don't know. I mean, I went by
So hold on. So someone else filed a restraining order which was never granted because he didn't appear, and that guy's missing.
Apparently.
Okay, so now we have another guy. Hold on.
He worked for the Stanford Police Department. He was an employee.
He was an employee of the Stanford Police Department. Even better. Okay, so here we go. Now we have Chris complaining that he was sexually something, right?
Right.
And a victim of Dr. Ahuja, right?
Yep.
And he went to Darien, and Darien did nothing, right? Because Darien's receiving their own steroids from Ahuja, right?
Hey, you know, it appears to be, I never saw those cops. I saw Stanford cops coming over to the office in the back door getting their fix. You know, testosterone and Viagra and Oxy, etc. And I know that the attorney that, one of Dr. Ahuja's attorneys that it's still, I think today, still currently involved in a lot of these real estate deals. His name's Bob Martinek. He'd been on multiple occasions arrested himself, not only for growing marijuana.
Right. Let me interject. We are seeking at least 10 people to be in court tomorrow at 10 o'clock, right?
Correct.
I'll be there, okay? You know who we should send this video to? Bob Duff. Ask Bob Duff to show up at this hearing.
Yeah, well, even now the manipulation by the court clerks in regards to putting things on the docket and now removing it. I mean, are we on? Are we off?
Well, I got a problem with Ryan Flanagan right now because my last 2 appearances I filed are not in the screen. And in one of the cases, I allege that the judge's signature has been forged. Do you understand? So now the appearance is missing because the judge's handwriting is not matched the court order? I understand that this is tricky, but hold on a second. If you allege that a judge is that a lawyer has been falsifying a judge's signature on court orders, then where do you go? That means the whole court system is unraveled.
Compromised. They're all compromised, and we know that. I want to make one more point, Johnny.
Okay, go ahead.
In regards to them feeling that a victim, you know, that all your personal information should be out there in public to ruin that. You have laws now against this. It's victim shaming. It's victim re-victimizing a victim. But here's what I want to make clear. When it comes to the Ahujas, who got, you know, basically they didn't bust him because the judge is a criminal, but he is hiding behind the fact that Judge Gennario is allowing seals to be placed on anything and everything Ahujas do wrong. And Judge White did the same thing in the criminal court. He wouldn't allow the victims to make...
So hold on. There was a criminal case against Ajay Ahuja that Judge White heard, right?
Correct.
And
he was arrested for drug dealing.
Okay, so...
Janet Hall, the head federal judge, was in charge of that. She fined him $200,000, and there was no jail time attached to it. Ajay Ahuja, Dr. Ajay Ahuja, who is no longer a doctor because the medical license was pulled, but not until he was arrested a second time.
So he kept dealing drugs after he lost his license.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Immediately after he...
And then what did Judge White do on that case?
Then it went into court, and of course, rather than sending Dr. Ahuja off to the feds where he belonged, Stanford Police Department covered for him, kept him incarcerated for the night in Stanford, arraigned him in Stanford. I went to the police department.
And that would have violated his probation, right?
Well, it would have been a violation, but he would have never been allowed to get accelerated rehabilitation if he went back to the feds.
Did Judge White give him accelerated rehabilitation?
Of course he did, and a $10,000 fine and a slap on the wrist.
For selling, for pushing opioids with no license.
Yeah, and worse.
And Judge White is the one that he claimed he bought.
Absolutely. And then what happens? all of a sudden his wife is murdered on the couch.
Well, this explains a little bit more of the Sam Miglieri problem, seeing that Sam's niece overdosed.
Exactly.
So here we go. Now, hold on. Let me just say, Sam's been falsely arrested 11 times. 11 times is a lot, don't you think?
I was there at the last hearing. I was there with 10 or 12 witnesses.
I saw Sam appear.
Yeah, we were all in the courtroom. We were told by the judge in the top of his lungs.
So he was arrested with 5 warrants for failing to appear when, in fact, I watched him appear.
But, Johnny, let the public know. 12 of us were in the courtroom, sitting like ladies and gentlemen, and when the judge came out, not with the robe on, and he screamed at all of us to leave. So we left.
That was after his private conversation with
Johnny.
That was after his private conversation with Tamaccio behind closed doors.
Okay, but get the point across that we were all there with Sam on his appearance. They ordered us out, and now Sam's been arrested for not appearing.
Crazy.
And he had to pay $11,000 to get out of jail.
You know, here we go.
This place, we need help here.
Hold on a second. Sam's got $900,000 in bonds for being a whistleblower. He hasn't broken a single law ever that I've ever seen.
No, we were all there.
Okay,
we were all there.
So hold on. Drug dealer Ahuja is pushing Oxy on high schoolers overdosing, right? And he gets off. Hold on.
Across the street died, 52 years of age.
Ahuja pushes opioids on children. They overdose and die, and Judge White gives him a $10,000 fine.
Yep.
And gives him AR.
How about the fact that he's a rapist? How does that resonate with the women in Connecticut?
Okay, so a rapist.
Resonate with people
Hold on. He's a serial rapist. Don't say he's just a rapist. Heather woke up to being gang raped.
Recently, but Johnny, I didn't have that information. I just got that information that he tried to rape a woman in 1998. They just came forward just a couple of weeks ago.
Now, right. And she's mentally handicapped due to the incident, correct?
Correct.
And the husband...
She was taken by ambulance to the hospital by Dr. Ajay Ahuja's wife, Guppreet, who they murdered.
Oh, boy. Well, I've understood quite a bit of this, and every time I talk to an opioid victim, the families, I met 2 ladies in Norwalk. They couldn't speak about it.
Well, that's exactly what happens when I walk my dog down at Harbor Point. And then it only took about a year of me gathering people's phone numbers that they were all victims of Dr. Ahuja, whether it be the girl, the guy, both of them hooked on Oxy,
right?
You know, going through clinics,
right,
trying to get clean, you know.
I want to ask you a question. Ready? Remember we looked at the list of doctors that were issuing opioids and we found a guy that gave out 500,000 pills? Right?
Right.
And I think his name is Coltz, C-O-L-T-Z. I'm not sure. He's in New Haven. No, he's in Hartford, excuse me. Then we found a guy with 250,000 pills he gave out, right?
Right.
And that was the second largest pill mill doctor in Connecticut. And Ajay Ahuja is on page 7, okay? So pages and pages of doctors, and it says Ajay Ahuja only gave out 7,000 pills. That's because he doesn't buy them through the pharmacy, correct?
Correct.
He has a pilot's license. Hold on. He has a plane, and he flies them in from where?
He flies them in from Florida, and they land. They have pull with Sikorsky Airport.
Oh, he goes right into Sikorsky. He lands.
Yeah, and everyone.
No customs, right?
Anybody knows that airport is not guarded the way a normal airport. They just fly in, they bring whatever they want. I told the feds that they were also coming through Westchester. They said, oh, that's common knowledge, blah, blah. What the hell are you talking about? They hadn't arrested. But what they
So hold on. This guy is so profitable, right, that he has his own plane flying in his own drugs. He doesn't order them through the normal channels.
And he had mules come up from Florida.
Mules.
And the sergeant in Stamford busted the guy, the mule, in a local hotel right here in Stamford. Now, they used me to get all the information that they needed, and then they allowed Dr. Ahuja to steal my property in California. They allowed the rape. They allowed no justice for me as a victim. There was another girl that he was trying, I'm not going to get into her case,
right,
but they were doing a comparison between me and this other woman.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently they were so hard on her that she ran for the hills.
Right, and he even tried this on a younger girl in your presence, right?
Yeah, well...
Leave that go.
No, it was someone that they were replacing me in the office with this new girl, and they were after her the same way they... This is a pattern. Mm-hmm. He raped a woman 20 years before me in his Darien office, and he bought her a brand new condo and her boyfriend a truck.
Okay, so what is Chris alleging? Let's get back to Chris's thing tomorrow. What does Chris need to prove? Or...
Well, here's the thing. The Ahujas have a pattern
of leaving dead bodies.
Not only that, but they can pull police reports and see that I'm very factual. I had the word nigger written on my garage door in 5-foot black letters. Mm-hmm. And that was national, international news. Mm-hmm. Now, only a few miles from me, Chris's house has a 5.5-foot giant bloody penis on the garage door. Out of decency to protect the little ones in the neighborhood, he put a stockade fence in front of his garage door. Mm-hmm. Only 1 week later, they had painted the same graffiti.
They came back.
Right on the
right, now the brick. To say on a brick thrown through a window, we're going to do to you what we did to this kid who was shot in the back of the head, is alarming.
Pardon me?
It's beyond alarming.
Oh, it's, like I said...
Now, why haven't they made an arrest?
Yeah, so on that note, it read, if he doesn't leave town, they're going to murder him.
So this is...
And he's left town, and now he's demanding a restraining order. I mean, when are they going to stop this? They tried the same thing with me. Their own psychiatrist, their paid gun doctor against me in court said the amount of drugs that they gave me to sedate me would have been meant to kill me, not to sedate me.
Right.
He said it. It's in writing. I have it. If you want me to...
I want the transcript. Find it.
I'll get you the diagnosis.
Well, tomorrow you should serve him, okay? Make it... you have 20 days to update it. Make it simple.
What we have to make the public understand is victims' lives are put out on display. The court uses that as a, tool to manipulate victims. Mm-hmm. And yet, Dr. Ahuja is well protected. Everything is under seal, including Nick Ahuja. Nick Ahuja was subpoenaed to the court in my case. Mm-hmm. He never showed. Nothing was done.
Right. I had cases like that where I sued Malloy, and Malloy didn't show. I had cases where nobody showed. Money laundering cases with 500,000 felonies, nobody showed. The judges are in on it.
Well, all I know is if you don't answer to a subpoena to go to court,
you'll be arrested. Right. Well, here we go.
Well, these guys, because Nick's a lawyer, they let him get away with it. And so you saw him in the court. What was his demeanor in the courtroom?
He was pissed. He didn't know who I was, so.
So he was marching around like he owns the place.
He refused to sit down. The judge is like, please sit down. He's like, I'm not sitting down. He was pacing.
That's how they are.
He was pacing like a tiger. He was pacing like a tiger in a zoo.
Yeah, well, but that's how they are. And usually he can't stand on either foot. It's all documented. He's on drugs. His own father testified to that. Nick Ahuja said that his father, the drugs, I mean, that's a point to be made.
So he has properties, where he has properties in Greenwich and properties in California, properties, how many properties?
A lot of properties. I mean, the FBI, they ran a check on his properties because I was so injured.
Yeah. Didn't you mention he had 2 Social Security numbers?
2 Social Security numbers, a pilot's license, properties all over the place. And so, you know, what the police were doing is trying to, because I was a nervous wreck and I wasn't well, and I was unconsolable after what they did to me, the police department went well out of their way to go after the victim. Another case of this, like, oh, nothing's believable and all of this crap. They never believed that Dr. Ahuja had a pilot's license. They found out through me because he was trying to force me into getting a license to get into that drug business with him, to fly into Sikorsky. He would tell me repeatedly that.
Does Sikorsky know?
Does he have Judge White in his pocket? He has other judges in his pocket. So every time I went
well,
to
it
court,
sounds like Gennario is questionable.
Oh, Judge Gennario, forget it. Judge Gennario's, the reason that his uncle, the Monsignor, now mind you, you know about you're Catholic, Johnny, you know that his uncle was the highest.
William.
He's like, it's another word.
Yeah, he was in charge of, right.
He's the chief of police.
He was in charge of the pedophilia, and he kept everyone out of
his uncle
jail.
Raped 23 young boys in Greenwich, and he got away with it for years and years. It wasn't until his demise that the Catholic Church paid those victims some minute little amount because they realized, and the official apology in the newspaper, those lives were ruined. 23 young boys.
Okay, let's get back to tomorrow. Tomorrow, Chris needs protection from basically the protection racket, which is the Stanford Fusion Center, Stanford Police, the judge, judicial marshals, obviously. And what is happening to Chris from a arrest standpoint? In other words, they're going after the victims, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course.
So what did they do to Chris?
Well, Chris has Chris has to work. He is, after his bout with Ahuja, he had problems. He ran in with the law because Dr. Ahuja had him addicted to the OxyContin. And so they continually kept arresting him, building up a lot of financial damage, etc.
Ruining his business, ruining his credit, ruining his, right?
Oh, he's ruined. The wife left. He has exorbitant child support payments.
How many kids does he have?
He's a contractor. He needs to get to
How
work.
many kids does he have?
He has 4 kids.
And what'd they do to the kids?
Well, I mean, that's another racket. I mean, all of this affects the children based on the fact that once they separated, now his house is in foreclosure. And with the illegal paperwork, they're trying to swipe his house. So it's all these...
What's illegal about the mortgage case?
Pardon me?
What's illegal about the mortgage case?
Oh, Mr. Cooper, I mean, it's all in the news. The people that are trying to... First of all, they sued in one entity. Then they realized that was a bad thing that they did. So they went away for like 4 years.
Is it McCalla Raymer?
All the paperwork.
Is it McCalla Raymer?
It was on Liebert, and now it's in McHugh.
Oh, boy.
Different law firms.
Right.
I mean, all with bogus papers.
Okay.
So, they let these things...
So who's handling the foreclosure?
Pardon me?
What judge is handling the foreclosure?
Well, they all have their hands in it, but Giannario's always the head person, and Tierney's the axe man, and Adams gets involved. And then, it's public knowledge that Giannario's best friend is Kavanewski. So they all have their little roles. Kavanewski acts like he's had some kind of brain damage and stroke or something. So Amy Michelby goes and sits alongside of him and whispers in his ear on what to say. It's another Joe Biden situation.
Oh, now is there a thing about Amy?
Yeah, Amy manipulates the dockets.
So how did Chris get arrested because of Amy?
Pardon me?
How did Chris get arrested because of Amy?
Well, Amy, that's a separate issue right now, Johnny.
Okay.
But Amy is directly responsible for people losing their homes. She does. This is, she's going to end up sued in her personal capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's way beyond what her role is as a head foreclosure clerk in the Stamford court.
Right.
She has been seen out to dinner with Jeffrey Knickerbocker, who's an attorney for Bendett and McHugh. And Amy acts like I've written it in my papers that she's in the hallway, giddy schoolgirl when she's around him.
I heard she went to Florida with him.
She went to Florida just a couple of weeks ago.
Crazy.
And,
does her husband know?
Her husband and young children, and yet she goes to Florida. What she says.
You know what? She mishandled 100 of my cases while she was on maternity leave, and she never told me she was on maternity leave.
Oh yeah, and she's very, like I say.
She stays far clear from me since that point. When I'm in the room, she runs away.
Yeah, well, same thing here.
She's guilty. She's totally compromised many court cases, and I have many new ones that are being compromised by Ryan Flanagan and Jonathan Bubar. There's no question about it. They're making up stuff as they go. One case I have on the election fraud, I've marked the same motions ready like 5 times, and they've never appeared on the hearing as a hearing. They've never been...
Exactly, and it's still happening. This just happened a couple of days ago. I marked something ready, arguable, and it disappeared. So this is like my friend that's had...
It's criminal.
He has 5 children, lives in Greenwich. It was because of Amy that he lost his home. He went before the judge. The judge said, come back and show me proof in a week. He was supposed to appear before Judge Kavanewski.
Mm-hmm.
Amy never put that hearing on the docket. Never docketed, like it never happened. She
Seriously.
schedules them 1 week, 1 week down the road in front of Judge Adams.
Mm-hmm.
He goes in and tries to explain to Judge Adams. Last week I was in front of Judge Kavanewski. The law day couldn't have passed because I was told that I have 1 week to get my papers in and come before. But he says, I don't see any of that on the docket. You're out. So he got thrown out of his house. His whole him and his children were all arrested.
Right, he had 4 kids arrested, right?
Yep.
Including a 14-year-old girl.
Correct.
Now, why would they arrest a 14-year-old girl when she's not even on the paperwork for the eviction?
Because they were in the house and he held his ground because it's all not true. And this is all because of Amy Michelby, the clerk in Stamford Superior Court.
So she's got her hand...
This isn't even the judge, it's the clerk.
Wow.
She knows exactly what she's doing, and she does it on there are so many of these cases. There's probably hundreds of people that have been thrown out of their homes because of Amy Michelby. And she is very bold. She stands right in the window, not against you or me, because we've already had locked horns. And she's not going to come to the window for us because we're very clear in telling her we will sue you. We just haven't gotten around to it, but we will see you in court, Amy. So when she sees us, she runs. But these poor innocent people like...
And she's the head foreclosure clerk?
She's the head foreclosure clerk.
Well, she took 2 of my houses.
And when you give preference, when you file a motion to dismiss or a motion to vacate an order or whatever it may be to protect your home, Amy puts the law firm in first so you can't be hurt and you're thrown out.
Well,
It's
in
as
my
simple
case,
as that.
everyone can talk about their own cases.
Prosecutors in Stanford are well aware of it because, and the reason I can feel very strong about telling you this, Johnny, is I was there when this person that was thrown out of his home and his family was arrested. I was there when he tried to report the right off the bat reported to prosecutor Nemec.
Oh, Nemec's a
And
loser.
he said, what you need to do is you need to go to if you feel something illegal is happening, you need to go to the police department in Greenwich.
Yeah, Nemec is a huge liar.
The bottom line is, Amy's only feet from there. The prosecutor's office is on the same floor in the Stanford court room as the clerk's office. You know what? In something serious like this, they should have went over there. He should have gotten involved in calling the police department and recommending an arrest. That is very clear.
I reported a murder to Nemec, and I've never heard from him again. I mean, he's been lying multiple times in the Sam Magliari case. I mean, time and time again.
Well, I can't speak to that, but I sure as heck can tell you that Reuben spoke to the advocate in regards to Ahuja. When Judge White gave Ahuja carte blanche, $10,000 fine and accelerated rehab, Reuben said right there to the news, I do not agree with the judge's ruling, and Dr. Ahuja should be treated like any common drug dealer.
Right. Well, this is the deal. When you listen to Sam say how his attorneys are being threatened by the prosecutors, I heard one tape of Lingell saying, this court, I'm a lawyer, they're threatening me, the prosecutor shouldn't be threatening me, making me do what I don't, In other words, if he has a duty to protect his own client, having the prosecutor threaten the attorney that if he doesn't screw the client, that he'll be arrested, then what?
Yeah, well, and then not only that, I've heard the judges, and I have plenty of transcripts where my own attorneys have been threatened by the judges. And I've been in court where they're trying to defend me, and the judge is saying, watch your step. Watch your step.
Well, Heather, watch your step.
Well, that's what we're trying to do, and that's why we're reaching out for public support, because,
I'll be there tomorrow.
Thank you.
We need 10 people, though.
Yeah, well, I got 10, but we need more than 10. We need the public to be outraged. We need them to call the newspapers. We need them to call the Channel 12 News. Get the word out. Why are these drug pushers that are, by the way, I'm a transplant from California, but I learned that Dr. Ahuja is the go-to guy. That's how the high schools refer to Dr. Ahuja. He's our go-to guy.
For Oxy.
Go ahead, stick your head in the sand, but this is your kids. And once you lose them to these types of drugs, their lives are ruined for life. I mean, I have all these friends that have decided to go forward against this doctor, and essentially their lives are ruined. I mean, they're in this for 30 years trying to get off of this stuff. In and out of rehab centers.
Right.
Going to church.
The problem is the protection racket. Think about it. They know who's doing it. It happens all the time. Conklin makes $1.4 million a year. He drives a Bentley, for God's sake.
So do the lawyers in Stanford. They're pulling in $260,000 cars. That's what Ahujas are driving. Go look in their driveway, see all the cars. You got one spoiled ass kid. Now we've got his mother murdered, his brother murdered, and it's just Dr. Ahuja and him left. So Dr. Ahuja
and the nephew's gone.
Yeah, but Dr. Ahuja put all his properties in Nick Ahuja's name, and the wife, obviously, when she died, everything went to him.
Because the judges, because the judges protect the attorneys because they're in the same club. In other words, when they were after AJ, they put the assets in the attorney's name, knowing the judge would never attach the attorney's.
Exactly. And then whenever you go into court, whenever he's in court, none of his record gets seen by the public because he's an attorney. They keep it under seal. So he's always in that court. So
the court is covering up Oxy. Hold on. Oxy.
Ahuja. One more time. Ahuja. Look up Michael Ahuja versus United States Appellate. Ahuja. Look it up on Google, people. Find out that this guy was caught with $18 million in the back of his truck trying to get drug dealers out of prison in Texas and in New York, delving out, how much was it that he was
$300,000 each.
$300,000 a pop, bribing undercover cops in Stanford. He got busted, but instead of him going to jail for 60 years, they slapped him on the wrist.
Well,
and now his brother, Dr. Ajay Ahuja, big deal. It took me 16 years for this guy to lose his license. 16 years. So he's been infecting Connecticut for, long before I ever moved here.
This is a cancer.
And no one's doing anything about it. He's got multiple victims of rape.
No senators.
This man has come forward. That's very strong and bold. This man has come forward after he was raped by Dr. Ahuja.
What our congressmen are doing are accepting the bribes, folks.
Now, what do they do to him? They put a 5-foot penis on his garage door and the police aren't doing anything about it. They know damn well who's doing this.
It's the same MO. They got caught.
They put the nigger word on my garage door hoping to shame me.
That didn't work.
No. It's not going to work with him either. Let's see whether the court gives a restraining order.
Okay, so let me just say something as a final note. Folks, if you don't show up in court, you're not on the front line. Nothing's going to change. We're going to lose this war. If you don't show up in court, we're going to lose this war.
Fight against these drugs. Fight for your communities.
There is no one in the state of Connecticut doing anything about it except collecting the bribes. Heather's a victim here. If you can't understand the length that these judges are going to protect Oxy, then you're not a patriot, not a Christian. You're nothing.
They allowed this drug dealer to steal my property in California, and people are stupid.
And the Stanford police attempted to bribe her, and she refused a $3 million bribe, so they went after her.
My cars were stolen right out of my driveway.
Well,
it was Johnny. Johnny was the one kind enough to go down there with,
Officer Sergeant Weed. He is a disease, a plague upon this earth, this guy. He's responsible for the Stephen Barrier murder solely. He covered up a taser death of a boy on his 23rd birthday, and they all got bribed, including Chief State's Attorney Richard Colangelo, $1.5 million bribe, I am told. Hey, you can't make this shit up. $30 million bribe.
And what's really obnoxious is the fact that these tax dollars that they're collecting from the residents of Stamford, that's all going toward paying their salaries.
Correct.
Going to pay them to not protect us.
Correct.
Now, I'm not saying, I mean, I know a few cops, and I know they're good guys. And that's what the shame of it is, because
there's only one good cop in Stamford.
People are bad.
There's only one good cop in Stamford. One. And he can't go forward because he'll be found dead.
Well, then it's time to quit and get a different job, because you know what? That's the problem. You know what? If you're in that line of work and you can't stand up, then being complicit doesn't work. Look at me. Look what I've lost. I'm getting ready to, they're trying to make me homeless. They've stolen my transportation.
Listen.
How the heck do these
Heather, all the whistleblowers that you know are under attack in Connecticut. All of them. There must be 20. They're all under attack. They've all been arrested. All of them.
Well, that leaves solely me, and believe me, I never go anywhere either without someone watching me or being by my side. I mean, imagine living your life for 16 years where I report my every move. If I leave my house, if I go to the court, there were years and years where I had to be escorted. I mean, I walk into that court and I'm under threat for the marshals. Now, there are marshals there that are great. They're delightful. But there are a few that are, working for the judges, and it's like, get her. Yeah. And it is just played out last Friday where I thought I was going to get pushed down the stairs.
Wow.
And I called you, Johnny, and I mean, I was upset. I couldn't sleep Saturday. I couldn't sleep Sunday because I knew I had to go back into that court on Monday. Now, when you're in the courtroom and you can't even open your mouth to talk, and it's your turn to get your due process in the courtroom, and you've got, marshals standing there with their, in an aggressive position, waiting for you to say one wrong word that they don't like. This is what Sam went through. I mean, I saw him get taken away. Here's a family guy who owns multiple properties in Stamford. He's never had a problem. He worked the same job for the city of Stamford for how many years, Johnny? 30 years?
I think 27 years or something like that.
27 years. He never had a problem in his life, and ever since he was a whistleblower, he's been arrested, shackled, abused.
Yeah. You know what's funny? You know what's funny?
Mental hospital and drugged.
The one cop that Sam has a restraining order on is the guy who arrested him.
I mean, and if you'd like to understand the way a restraining order works, the victim gets the restraining order. That restraining order is broken if the other person contacts the victim as well. So in Sam's case, the police officer that the restraining order was given to protect him against, supposedly against Sam,
right.
He's the one calling and instigating the arrest.
Right.
I mean, this is...
And by the way, he just dragged his wife and daughter into this thing.
Of course they do.
Doesn't he think before he acts? I mean, now it's a substantial claim.
But people don't want to be involved. They want to go about their nice little tidy lives and make their big money in Stamford. Well, get ready, because Stamford's going to take it all away.
Hey.
One way or the next, whether it's by stealing your house.
Heather, we're at 50 minutes. 5-0.
All right. Bye, Johnny.
You're the best.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Oh, no. You deserve all the protection that...
Yeah, well, good luck in letting a victim...
That Twitter can give you. That Twitter can give you.
Well, Thank you, Johnny. God bless you.
I'm glad you agreed to at least talk about some of these things. There's a lot more that we need to discuss, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well,
hey, God bless you. Have a great day, and thank you for all your good work, Johnny.
I adore you.